that Iranian officials have so far denied are taking place. Trump says Iran has made a show of faith.
They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people. Related? No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related, and it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people.
Meanwhile, attacks on both Iran and Israel continued today. The investigation into a deadly crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport between a jet and a fire truck Sunday night is in full swing.
Stop, truck one. Stop. Stop, truck one. Stop.
That sound captured on liveatc.net of the air traffic controller trying to warn the fire truck. Then 20 minutes later.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier, and I messed up.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says air traffic control staffing was not an issue. The front of the Air Canada jet torn apart. The two pilots killed. Flight attendant Solange Tremblay ejected while strapped into her jump seat. At least 40 injured, including 2 on the fire truck responding to a separate emergency of an odor on a United flight. Julie Walker, New York.
A New Mexico jury finds that social media conglomerate Meta is harmful to children's mental health and in violation of state consumer protection law. The jury announced its verdict Tuesday after nearly 7 weeks of trial. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 84 points. More at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Afghanistan's Taliban says American academic Dennis Coyle, held since 2025, has been released.
A statement from Afghanistan's foreign ministry said academic researcher Dennis Coyle had been released in Kabul, the country's capital, on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr, the holiday following Ramadan, the Muslim holy month of fasting. The release followed an appeal from his family, and the Supreme Court had considered his previous imprisonment sufficient. Coyle was detained in January 2025 on allegations of violating laws, although the Afghan authorities have never publicly stated what laws he was accused of having violated. Earlier this month, the State Department announced the designation of Afghanistan as a sponsor of wrongful detention, accusing it of engaging in hostage diplomacy. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
News and analysis available at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters. J.P. Morgan.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
We got a call late New Year's Eve. A father with big plans for his family the next day said his garage door spring just snapped. He couldn't get his car out and wouldn't be able to get his family to where they needed to go. He felt stuck and alone. So we showed up fast with the right spring and the right parts to fix it right. We didn't talk about the price. We didn't wait till the morning. We fixed it right then. Because at Garage Door Doctor, it's never just about the job. It's about the person behind it. The dad, the veteran, the grandpa, the neighbor. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. When you need help, we're the ones that show up. Call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoordoctor.biz. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime because we're proud to serve the people who rely on us.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
A breast cancer diagnosis can turn your world upside down. But your Houston Methodist team assures you they'll use the latest cancer research and technologies, collaborating to treat and remove the tumor and reconstruct your breasts, restoring symmetry, sensation, and your sense of self. That's the difference between practicing medicine and leading it for you. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on. Over there.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
For Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate. Stimulating. Hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. It is the Craig Collins Show. KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. So thrilled every day to be with you Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 o'clock right here, as I said, on the voice of Texas. Amazing is the way I would describe the interview that Mark Levin did with Joe Kent. Amazing. And you heard it some other places on the station, and I'm assuming elsewhere. Mark Levin, by the way, someone who is under siege, under attack by some of what Dana Lash actually refers to, and I do like this, the new Reich. Not the new right, the new Reich, which is funny to me. But these were people like Megyn Kelly, who have been very critical of the conflict in Iran, very critical of Israel, also very critical of Mark Levin for reasons that you can try to figure out on your own. They're probably sort of obvious, whatever they might be. But anyway, Joe Kent, the recently oddly disgraced, even though he resigned on his own, but odd, the path he is choosing to take after leaving the Trump administration and the way in which he is vocally criticizing and asking all kinds of questions about Israel and what they could or didn't do to influence President Trump. And I loved this interview so much. And I'm not like a huge Mark Levin guy. It's not like I listen to the guy all the time. I thought Joe Kent landed at least one punch, that punch being that when he accused Levin of being part of mainstream or legacy media, sometimes the Fox guys feel that way. Sometimes some of these people do feel like they fall more into that bucket than the other bucket for sure. But nonetheless, like there's so much good stuff. This was probably the best moment, though, the most viral moment of that interview when Mark Levin was asking him, are you the leaker? Are you the person giving certain information to people, especially to Candace Owens, because you pop up on her podcast right after she's able to leak some intelligence and some information that it shouldn't be out there, that you shouldn't be the one being the catalyst to that leak. Leaks in general are bad for our country, for our society. So I thought this was amazing. Let's go ahead and start right here. This is Mark Levin interviewing Joe Kent.
Were you a leaker? Are you under investigation? Do you know whether you're under investigation? Let's try and clear the air right at the beginning.
Sure, Mark. Thanks for having me on. I never leaked any classified information. And the stories you're reading are stories from leakers who are leaking, I guess, maybe.
Oh, hold on. Keep going.
About me being a leaker. So I think it's just a media counter narrative. I had.
So nobody has contacted you from Justice or the FBI or anything like that?
Nope.
Did you ever leak? Confident.
Nope,
Let me do it this way. Did you ever leak?
You ever leak
classified information? You said no. Did you ever leak confidential information?
Nope.
Never.
Never.
Were you cut out? Okay, you're on the record. That's perfect.
Yeah, it's a good thing you're on the record. Honestly, that's just the beginning of the conversation. There is a moment, though, later on where Mark Levin loses it, and he gets a little snippy, I think is what some people said in his interview with Joe Kent. Here we go. Let's keep going.
I think that you're ignoring what all the other senior officials and the president have said.
Uh-oh.
I really do. And I hope when you tell me you haven't leaked, because all these people in the White House say you have, that you're telling me the truth. I have no reason to disbelieve you. I hope when you tell me that you didn't leak those texts to Candace Owens, I hope you're telling me the truth. I hope when you're telling me 18 intelligence agencies all came together and said that the Iranians are not close to getting nukes, I hope you're telling me the truth. And also,
public testimony in Congress.
Yeah, well, we have public testimony in Congress from one of them, the CIA director, that says you're full of baloney.
It's true.
DOD&I, who's responsible for...
You know what's really interesting, by the way? I just want to take a pause as I continue to play this audio because I find it fascinating. A lot of times in media, and especially in less well-researched versions of conversations, meaning the host isn't as up-to-date as Mark Levin does appear on the totality of this topic, someone like a Joe Kent will say, somebody testified in front of Congress that agreed with me. And the response back won't be, yeah, and somebody else said that you're full of crap. And yet, in this case, that is the back and forth is, hold on, none of these things that you're saying to lend credibility to your side can be heard in a vacuum. We do have to hear both versions of the people who say no and the people who say yes. Let's hear more.
Representing the 18 intelligence community, 18
But he's the CIA. He's the big dog.
Big dog.
And I asked you what Gabbert's attitude, and you said I have to interview her.
An agency contributed to the assessment.
Okay.
You asked me about her.
Who makes the final decision, Joe? Takes in all the information that the agencies put together. Who does that? You or the president?
The president does, but in this case, the Israelis decided to.
Did the intelligence agencies miss 9/11, or was that the Israelis too? Did the intelligence agencies miss Pearl Harbor, or was that the Israelis too?
Wow.
I'm really worried about you, brother. I really am. When you were first on my show, you seemed pretty straightforward and sane about this stuff.
I am pretty straightforward, and I don't think a foreign government should be allowed to dictate when we go to war. Or
I don't think they did.
I
think. Yeah, and here's the point, because that last part of what Joe is saying does sound reasonable. By the way, we should not have another country tell us what to do. But I think the most valuable part of the discussion is Mark Levin continuing to go back to Trump made this decision. And so the funny thing to me, and the thing that I've been thinking a lot about when it comes to the new Reich, again, as Dana Lash keeps calling them, is they do have to discredit Trump. They can't say that they're MAGA. They can't say that they're supportive of the current person in the White House and then also say that we're being taken advantage of. It has to be either or. It cannot be both. And a lot of times these people, Joe Kent certainly among them, do want it to be both. They want to say that Trump is in charge, he's a great president, he's awesome, he's this, he's that. And then when they criticize the administration, act as though Trump is asleep at the wheel somewhere, much like Biden or anyone else was. And you have to decide. Everyone has to decide if you think that's accurate. Do you think that's actually true, that these people who are bringing up these conspiracy theories right now are actually targeting Trump specifically and not necessarily targeting, just anybody who winds up in his orbit? Let's play a little more.
President Trump said no nuclear weapons, and then through official engagements through the Israelis and then also the media echo chamber that wanted regime change in Iran said, no, we need to say that the Iranians can't.
What about the media echo chamber, your buddies who didn't want regime change in Iran? There's a lot of echo chambers out there, wouldn't you say?
It appears that your media echo chamber was much more successful.
No, it wasn't. I never lobbied the president. Hey, pay attention to me. I never lobbied the president. You guys keep putting that crap out there. I met with the president once at his request, and I said to the president, ready for this, Joe? I said, they're saying out there that I'm lobbying you. You know what he did? He laughed. You know what he said? Mark, I know where you stand. I watch your show on Saturday and Sunday. Anything I say here, pay attention. Anything I say here,
oh my God,
what I would say. I did what?
Hold on. Joe Kent will say that I'll let him play it.
You can lobby him by using the power of your show, the power of your
Come on,
platform.
brother.
That's
You're sounding almost ridiculous.
It does sound as though the objection here that Mark Levin is most upset about, and I'm not telling you what side to be on. I find part of the conflict amusing, and to be honest with you, I kind of enjoy this more than Yes Men, than if you had someone come on Mark Levin's show who's not Joe Kent, say all the things that Mark Levin is saying are genius, and the opposite is all terrible and awful. If that were the back and forth, it's not as valuable in the society we have. So I applaud both guys. I applaud Mark Levin for knowing he was going to disagree heavily with Joe Kent and still put him on the show, and I applaud Joe Kent for doing it, regardless, again, of which side of that argument you think is true and which side you think is false. But to hear both people defiantly say that they're telling the truth, the biggest takeaway for me, or the thing that seemed to resonate the most, was you have to undercut Trump. You have to, if you're landing on the side of Joe Kent, if you're landing on the side of the people who are saying all these negative things about the war in Iran, about something, you have to point your criticism at the person who's in charge. It's just like any job that you've had. When things start to fall, when things start to, go the wrong way, stuff is not happening the way it should, inevitably the boss takes that blame, whether they deserve it or not. And then they might have to fire somebody. They might have to find new people to bring in, even if they don't can anybody. There's all things you can do if you're simply the person holding the bag at the end and you don't feel as though you're someone who was supposed to work on this day to day, but now things are bad. I mean, look what's happening with Kristi Noem going away and us getting Mark Wayne Mullen in there, hoping for something better. And Mark Wayne Mullen, I will say, is a very straight shooter of a human, as people have evidently seen. And I think we might need that, because the biggest shot in Kristi Noem is that she was lying. And so I think the one thing you might not get with Mark Wayne Mullen now in his new position is you won't get the accusation of lying. But I go back to it. To be someone who is negative with some of this stuff happening, the MAGA civil war, somebody has to be anti-Trump. You can't be on two different sides of an issue, ignore what side President Trump is on, and then pretend as though you support the man. You don't. Essentially, some of this stuff starts to sound a whole lot like the things that Democrats are saying. And let me say it this way, though, because I want to be clear about one thing. It's not bad to be curious, to ask questions, to not agree with something. Like, none of that's bad. But if you consistently do it, you can't pretend as though you're still a supporter of someone. That's the part that I have a problem with, is I think you have to go out there and say, no, I'm not a supporter. I don't like this person. I don't think they're doing a good job in office, because I'm accusing them of being too far removed from decisions that they're making. Someone else is telling them what to do and they're listening. You have to say that part out loud, and you have to live with the repercussions that come with your audience thinking that's not true. Because a lot of the people who are on the conservative side of the aisle, most of their audience voted for Trump. Most of their audience is, according to polling, still very supportive of the current president of the United States. So I just think it's sort of insane that there's so many people out there that pretend you can have it both ways. That I can say and do whatever I want, be critical of whoever I want, and then as soon as I turn on the microphone the next day, pretend as though I'm in support of this administration. It can't be both. I think that's one reason I like listening to Dan Bongino so much, and I do have some Bongino audio I'll play in a little bit, because Bongino is definitive in which side of that equation he's on. He is pro-President Trump, and even if he's critical of something, he says it in a very different way than conspiratorially. This is what has to be happening behind closed doors. And you know what, actually, I thought I was going to break. I'll say one last thing. But I'm going to be really clear about this. And if you want to call in, be a part of the show, you can. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Conspiracy theory itself, wildly attractive. If I come on the radio right now and tell you that I know something, I don't even give you all the details. I just tell you I know something. I know some of the details. The questions are important, whatever it might be. That is attractive to listen to, because so many of us disbelieve the mainstream narrative all the time. I know I've talked about this before on my show, but I know how attractive the idea of every conspiracy theory can be right at the beginning. Like, at some point, you got to judge its credibility, and more often than not, you might decide that this person or that person's crazy and they're not credible. Although, to be honest, conspiracy theory, if that's what you call it, has been right a lot recently. Look at COVID. Look at all the examples, the voting stuff that we're now finding out more and more about. The people that were accused of being conspiracy theorists, they wound up being accurate, which makes it even more tempting all the time to hear any version of it at any explanation that you haven't heard before, to be told this is really what's going on. I think our brains are wired in the current society we're in to be like, oh, okay, I bet you that is true, especially if you like the person saying it. Then even more so, you might think, all right, this person must know some things that other people don't know. So it's crazy when you resist it. In my industry, in the industry that does stuff like this on the radio or in other social media places, at Radio Craig C, on Twitter, on X. I stream there every day. I'm on the YouTube and the Rumble pages for KSEV Radio that we're still trying to get off the ground. I would love, you know what, I'll say this, and then I will take a break. I would love it if anybody who listens to this show starts just following, subscribing, clicking a button for KSEV's YouTube and Rumble pages, because I just want the amigos to have a bigger platform. I want the station to have a bigger platform. It's not about me. I'm not doing this just so you selfishly follow me, because then I'd give you my social media handles. But I've made a couple social media pages that are very, very much still in their infancy, even though they've been around for a few months, that are tailored for this radio station, that anybody at the station can use however they want, not just myself, not just the amigos. I would love it if we can build a little bit more of an audience there to prove that people listen to KSEV Radio and like the stuff that KSEV Radio says, because in the day and age in which we live, it also helps with advertisers. To be like, look at what our audience is. Well, you can look at it over here, over there, all these places. So I'm encouraging you, and I'm sort of actually begging you to follow our social media pages, not just for my own benefit, but for the benefit of the entirety of the station, to have a bigger digital presence, to shove us into the 21st, 22nd, whatever, 21st century, even more so than we've been doing already, because we need these things. It's definitely stuff that's going to help KSEV down the road. So please follow those places, subscribe to those places, get involved, especially when the amigos are on Friday as they live stream on all that stuff, and they love it. Ben Strusan specifically seems to really enjoy it. So you should even comment when Ben is doing his show with the amigos. But we'll take a break. More coming up in a bit. KSEV Radio, KGBC, the voice of Texas, as I said, live streamed on a bunch of social media places that you can follow, that you can interact with every single day.
The leaders.
Senator Ted Cruz.
Thank you, Chris. It's always great to be with you.
Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker.
Hey, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it very much.
The news makers.
Folks like Peter Schweitzer.
Hey, Chris, it's great to be on with you.
Ann Coulter.
Great to be here, Chris. Thank you.
And the day's top stories with spot-on analysis.
Their first concern is not for the security and safety of the people of this country. Their first concern is protecting their left-wing behinds.
The Chris Salcedo Show on the voice of Texas.
Matches back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599. 800-780-3599.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions
apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
A lot of the late shows have struggled because all they did during the only person they could make fun of at a certain point was just like white redneck kind of people, and then everything tanked after that.
Think about that. But see, they never get it right. The podcasts have gotten so much more popular.
This is
with
true.
Less production, less writers, less staff. And the reason why
we have 2 people working here, and both of them are hungover. That one guy has shingles.
But the place is clean. I like that. You keep a clean place.
Thank you. Yeah, we did.
By the way, I do like. Hold on. I'll let him continue in a second. That's Theo Vaughn's podcast, of course. He is interviewing Vince Vaughn, no relation, and their names are not even spelled the same, even though they sound similar. They're talking about how different, and this is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas. They're talking about how much has changed in the world of mainstream, television, and how many things are politically one-sided, politically biased, and just annoying to watch and to listen to. Let's let them continue.
But yeah, because people want authenticity.
Yeah,
and I think that the talk shows, to a large part, became really agenda-based.
Yeah.
They were going to evangelical people to what they thought. You know what I mean? And so people just rejected it because it didn't feel authentic. It felt like they had an agenda. It stopped being funny, and it started feeling like I was in a class I didn't want to take. But if you look at what happened to the talk shows and why their ratings are low, it's got only to do with the fact of what you just said, which is they all became the same show.
Yeah.
And they all became so about their politics and who's good and who's bad. And it's like, imagine sitting next to someone like that on a plane.
Oh.
By the way, Theo says he would fart on that person. That is the next piece of audio there. A lot of bad words said on Theo Vaughn's podcast. Just warning you, edited it heavily to play part of it on this show right now. But I will tell you that they're both right, easily right, that there was a time in our society where a whole lot of people thought to themselves, my voice on this issue isn't important, that I'm famous for this reason, or I'm more valuable over here than being yet another person with an opinion on a thing that's not even really related to why people care about me in the first place. Singers, musicians, same thing. Athletes, everybody. They all had these takes that you'd sit there and be like, man, I'd really rather just watch you play sports, or I'd rather watch you do this other thing. I'd rather not know that about you. I'd rather keep that a secret. You know what's really interesting about this, too, to me? Sydney Sweeney, the actress, very attractive human being, young 20-something, seemed to, for a little while, potentially be a conservative who was hiding it. She wasn't being honest about the fact that she might have been a Republican voter. She has family that is obviously Republican voters based on some things that went viral that people got upset about. And now she's started to spin a little bit back. And I've seen some takes out there, I think some of them in the podcast and, digital media spaces, where they're almost crapping on Sydney Sweeney. They're almost attacking her, like saying, we found out she's actually another dirty leftist. What's funny to me is she didn't want to be a part of it at all on either side. She didn't want her politics to be at the forefront of why people consume or don't consume anything that she's an actress in. And I actually respect that. I like that. And I do think that it's kind of crazy that they built this version of a thing where now people have a strong opinion about it and say can't like her anymore, or maybe you do still, I don't really care. It's just crazy because, to be honest, even if you are a dirtbag leftist, which is what I think Chris X calls people all the time on the show before this one, whoever you might be, if you're selling me something that has nothing to do with politics, and if you don't force your political opinion on me in any way, shape, or form, I can still enjoy it. I can do that. I know it sounds crazy in the society in which we live, but it feels better to me that if I don't agree with you on politics, at least we leave it completely off the table. We don't discuss it. We don't think about it. We don't go back and forth on it. None of that needs to be a part of, hey, watch this movie that I'm in. This movie's pretty great. Because, again, it's just so insane to me that that's become such a necessary part of the equation in so many conversations that even a Sydney Sweeney eventually felt the need to, quote, defend herself. I don't even know if I'm quoting her. Let's call that a paraphrase. In order to explain what she actually thinks about politics, which I think she said she's just not a political person. Which, by the way, there's this crazy audio. You know what? Fine, let's play this next. The New York Post put out this crazy audio of a bunch of people on spring break that have absolutely no idea, like young people that have no idea of the simple basics of the society in which we live. Like they're getting things scarily wrong that you think that they should probably at least be able to know just a tad better than the stuff that they know. And this is all, I think one person even doesn't know what the Ayatollah is. So it looks horrible. It's all those versions of these people are young idiots and morons, and they actually vote in elections and think their opinion is valuable, and that should terrify a lot of us. And I agree with that, but I'll say something else about it. There is a time in your life where describing yourself as really not a political person is obviously true. Like, I assume most of the people who listen to the show, or most of the people who listen to this radio station, if you described yourself as a political person now, someone who thinks a lot about and consumes a lot of information about politics, I'm guessing a decent amount of those people, like a vast majority actually, would not say they've always been that way. There's some people that fall into that bucket, but I bet by and large, a whole bunch of people who say that they're politically focused now would admit that they weren't for a time that I wasn't. There was a time in my life, up until I first started getting some opportunities in political radio, where I didn't care that much. I still voted in presidential elections and stuff, but it didn't control my day-to-day life. Other things did. And trying to get a little bit better at golf was a concern I had in my early 20s because I thought that that's something that I needed. And I'm still terrible at golf. I still have a slice. And even though people have tried to fix it, it's not fixing. And you can send me your messages at Radio Craig C. How to fix a slice without cheating and getting a driver that'll do it for me. But it's not what it is. But I thought that was important. I wanted to learn how to fish earlier on in my, and I know how to fish now. But these are things that I thought were far more important than politics to me personally. And a lot of these young people that are going viral with the New York Post, they seem to be easily described as part of that list. You know what, actually, before we get to let's put a pin in that. We'll do that after a break. Let's do this instead. There's some viral videos of people saying thank you to ICE in Houston. This is actually literally happening here. And one of them seems to have really taken off because the guy saying it seems to have a pretty heavy accent. And so he's being helped. They're moving the lines along quickly. They're giving out bottles of water. They're doing all kinds of things. ICE agents. This is in Houston. This is at George Bush Intercontinental. And as this is occurring, you have a guy walking up being like, you guys are great. I love you guys. Not necessarily audio that you're hearing a lot of places. Probably should be hearing it more places. And there's more than one video like this, but let's go ahead and play one.
You got vodka? Very nice. You got vodka in there? Very
I wish.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the service.
You're happy with ICE?
Yes.
Okay.
I like that. I'm happy for the ice. Thank you for the...
I'm happy for the ice. I like the ice. I'm happy for him as he's pointing and nodding and saying thank you to everybody involved. It's just funny that that's the kind of thing that can go viral because the counter narrative can be so popular because of how much the narrative gets shoved down our throat. You know, anybody that says out loud, Nick Shirley, let's use that as an example before I take another break. Nick Shirley to me was so wildly successful with his video of going to Minneapolis, going to Minnesota, showing us how unapologetic the fraud was there, how terrible things were, and how people were behaving just defiant in a way that was so easy to catch and no one was doing it. And Nick Shirley, this YouTuber with someone who I think was a listener, a viewer of his show that knew some things that might help him make the video a little stronger than if he did it on his own without the inside information. They go to a bunch of places, they knock on a bunch of doors, they out the fraud, and it was so attractive because no one else is doing it. Everyone else wants to tell the same story. Actually, you know what? I'll say it one other way, too, because I feel like there's so many pivots or avenues to a lot of these discussions. I've worked in places, not here, not at KSEV, where they've had newsrooms and individuals who you ask questions to. And the craziest thing to me about some of this stuff is that whenever a narrative became powerful, I would go to some people who were part of newsrooms, even news directors of places that I worked, and say, hey, what have you done to validate this story? Like, what have you done to make sure that it's true? And oftentimes I'd get back, well, we heard it all these other places. And that's a terrible answer to my question of what have you done to make sure that the aspects that you're sharing as someone who wants news credibility, if you even actually want that anymore in our society, and a lot of places don't seem to want that, but if you're someone who does, what have you actually done to double check, to fact check any of this information? And then oftentimes whenever I'd feel confident enough going to a news person and asking them this in any place that I worked, it's because I knew something. And I would follow that up with, well, but this is actually true. I have these sources that are saying this thing. Just so you know, I do have some information that seems to refute the thing you're telling us. And by and large, because of where I worked, these were not conservative-run places, they didn't care. Most of the time they looked at me like, ugh, this guy again, saying his things that he's telling us. How dare he think that he can offer us some information? And they didn't go with it. They went with their own narrative, which was wildly annoying, to say the very least, especially when at times I was in the background and not also on the radio to give my version of events immediately after theirs. Inevitably that happened. There were places where I was actually a host and I disagreed with our own newsroom, which was crazy, but it happens. It does, and I just think that's why the counter-narrative can be so interesting. But all right, we'll take another break. After this next break, we will come back, and I don't know if I really will call this a palate cleanser or more lighthearted. We'll do some lighthearted topics, some quick 4-ish topics, but there's an amazing video from the New York Post, a bunch of young people on spring break at a beach being asked questions about what's important to them, what do they care about. It's chef's kiss, a version of like, this is just so exactly what you think it is. And the problem I see in the video is not that a 20-something isn't knowledgeable about politics or history or the world. Granted, maybe the places they go to college might need to refund them because they obviously aren't teaching them anything. But it's the fact that these people also have strong political opinions. They are so confident in the things they've been told to believe that it's terrifying when you test them on basic information and they fail so abundantly. But that coming up and more in just a little bit. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and board babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau. That's because the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better check that business out first so you don't get ripped off bureau. Be smart. Always look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
A breast cancer diagnosis can turn your world upside down. But your Houston Methodist team assures you they'll use the latest cancer research and technologies, collaborating to treat and remove the tumor and reconstruct your breasts, restoring symmetry, sensation, and your sense of self. That's the difference between practicing medicine and leading it for you. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I know I have a dump button off to my right that I might need to hit here because I'm pretty sure, but not positive, that the audio I'm about to play is edited, and there's not a convenient way to figure that out when I'm doing multiple things all at once. And I'm let's risk it for the biscuit, as a guy that I used to work with would say all the time, when you're clicking on something, knowing full well I have a way to fix the problem if we just so happen to hit it there. But this is the audio I was talking about. Dumb spring breakers in America being asked questions on a beach, and it is shocking how stupid they are because these are college kids. These are kids getting an education. At least you assume they're getting taught something at the places they're going to school. It doesn't seem like they're being taught very good things or a whole lot of things. And again, I'm just going to reiterate something I said just before the break. There is a time in your life where this feels okay. This feels like, even though you seem to have tremendous gaps in knowledge and in logic, if you weren't someone who also stumbled into certain conversations, confident, and did things like voted in our elections, if you have this limited information, I do kind of think you should probably sit out most elections. I don't encourage many people to do that. I would encourage many of these spring breakers to do it. But again, you got to choose your battle, choose your own adventure. Go one road, go a different road. And in this case, a lot of these people who probably are very confident that they know a whole lot of things in life seem to not know some pretty basic stuff.
What issue facing America is the most important to you?
What bikini I'm gonna wear next? Obesity is terrible.
Ice. Not personally. I'm legal.
Getting a tan on the beach. That's the most important thing in my life right now.
I'm thinking about Starbucks, to be honest. I'm thinking about Starbucks, what I'm gonna get for today.
The elevators don't work. You got 43 floors. The elevators don't work.
I could take this little glass of water, drop it in the magnets. That's the end of the elevator.
What have you heard that Donald Trump has been doing recently?
Gulf of America. That's the last thing I kept up with.
We're going to war with Iraq. That's been
Okay.
crazy.
What are you doing for me? You got Maduro out?
You must be happy.
I'm very happy.
The Ayatollah's dead.
What? Who? What?
What is that?
Who
is Ayatollah?
Wow.
I've never heard that word in my life.
Lewis, what's Ayatollah?
What's Ayatollah, bro?
I found out about Chuck Norris yesterday. That was more devastating to me.
He was the supreme leader of Iran.
He's dead?
We killed him.
You did? You killed him?
You got him. That's crazy. These are real college students on a real beach on the East Coast giving terrible answers to questions. I love the one guy who's like, bro, who's Ayatollah? Who's that guy? What's going on there? What's that all about? This is terrible, to say the very least. But I think the thing for me, and again, the thing that probably matters the most out of any of this, is if you have these knowledge gaps, then sitting out an election, not having a political opinion, essentially, to echo what I said a second ago, admitting like Sydney Sweeney did that she's not a political person, that's actually okay. It's actually just fine. Just go ahead and don't vote, because by and large, you are one of the useful idiots, as Rush and others used to call you, because you just echo basic things, you hear mainstream media narratives, you don't object to any of it, and you live your whole life impacting society while not having the information necessary to do it well. I have a buddy of mine that would say that there are stages in your life where you gain perspective that you simply can't get until you hit that stage. Purchase your first home, pay your first tax for owning said home, and you have a different opinion than you did before that happens to you in life. I can easily say that was true the first time we bought a house in Illinois, and then you got hit with the terrible taxes. I know that property taxes are not fun here, and Senator Betancourt is pushing you to say no to some of them. But in Illinois, it's even worse. So even though we could make things better in Texas, there's other places where they're even more terrible. That's true. Have a kid. Get married. These are things that change your perspective in life. and give you that version of, oh, wait a minute, that's why people were saying this was important, because up until then, I didn't pay attention at all. All right, another topic that I want to do, let's call these the quick 4-ish things. These are not serious things. These are silly things that I like. Someone asked the question on, I think, just online, and KTLA News decided to answer this question. What happens to unsold Girl Scout cookies? Where do they go? Do they wind up getting stored again? Are some of them very, very old that you might be purchasing somewhere? Mostly, you might not know this. I didn't know this. I don't have any Girl Scouts in my family, which is why I always buy Girl Scout cookies when people bring them to me. We had a cute little kid with her mom downstairs at our studio on the first floor of the office building our studio is in, selling Girl Scout cookies, and I told the mom it was genius. I was like, this is genius. You got as close to me as you possibly could in order to sell this to me. You made it convenient as possible, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy in this situation. They didn't even work for us. They worked for some other company, and I know most people, you probably have someone in your office who's selling Girl Scout cookies for their child and is like, hey, hit me up. I'll get you the goods. It feels like a drug deal. I'll be honest about that. I do feel like buying Girl Scout cookies when there's no Girl Scout actually around. It feels similar to the way that the people must speak during the drug deal, because they don't usually have the cookies on them. The person that's your office coworker is offering you a thing. They know you want it. You know you want it, the Girl Scout cookie. And they're like, and we'll get it for you, bro. Give me the money now, and the cookie is coming later. That just, I don't know. I've never done a lot of drug deals. I just assume that's the same way to go about these things. But who knows? But anyway, KTLA did this story about what happens to Girl Scout cookies. By and large, they do get donated, which I like. I like that idea, that if they're not used, they're not stored and then left for years on end, that eventually they go to somebody somewhere who needs to enjoy them, or who gets to enjoy them the same way I do. And you could also call in and tell me your favorite Girl Scout cookie if you want to, or go to my Facebook, my Twitter, my any of those pages, at Radio Craig C. We can debate what cookie is best. Sharks were found with cocaine and caffeine in their blood. This is a new study. It was outside of the Bahamas, I think, where they did this. This is probably not a good thing. You have an environmental scientist, Dr. Tracy Fanara, talking about this. She went viral because this sounds like the beginning to a horror movie. You know, like Cocaine Bear now becomes Cocaine Shark with caffeine. I don't know why you needed the kicker, but this is a little bit of that audio.
When it comes to sharks on cocaine or exposed to other human chemicals, we're seeing that that's happening more and more. A recent study just showed that a number of different shark species have been exposed to a number of human chemicals from wastewater flows. Their metabolism slowed down when breaking down lipids, and also they used more energy to detoxify themselves. So it is problematic, though we're not going to see sharks going crazy on cocaine.
I don't know if I believe her. I don't know, because if they're saying that they're finding these things inside shark systems, I can't imagine they take it well. I can't imagine a shark hopped up on caffeine and cocaine is actually a friendly guy. This feels like a version of the Talladega Nights jokes that you've heard before on this station to a whole new level. They're not just hopped up on Mountain Dew now. They're hopped up on something much, much crazier. Another piece of audio that I love that's out there for the quick 4-ish topic, a viral video of a woman that she claims she was dress-coded in Las Vegas. Young people often say this when they're thrown out of someplace because they're not wearing the appropriate stuff, or they're not wearing just enough clothing. This happens at Disney a lot. This happens at school. I think that's why people call it dress-coded, because that's what would happen if you were at a high school and got this. But this young woman, a TikToker named Kayla, says she was dress-coded in Vegas and couldn't believe it. She was shocked because Sin City should allow her to wear whatever they want. I don't know if I believe her, by the way, but you decide.
Guess who just got dress coded in Vegas? Las Vegas dress coded me, and I'm being escorted to my room to change. So my bodonky donk was too exposed and too rumptious and bodacious.
I don't know if all those things are true, by the way. I'm not going to confirm or deny that Kayla's badunkadunk is the thing she says it was. That's funny. But nonetheless, I just love the fact that people like the attention of this, too, because this happened at the Houston Rodeo. You guys probably heard that toward the tail end of the rodeo actually had to come out and say, please wear more appropriate clothing to a lot of the young ladies who were wearing pretty ridiculous things. And I went to a whole lot of rodeos. So I saw some of the outfits that eventually people were probably complaining about. Because, that's the thing. I'll be honest about this in two ways. I'll be honest about this as a guy, a straight guy, a 40-year-old straight dude. If a 20-something-year-old woman is walking around in a certain outfit, I'm not offended. That's not the first thing that hits my brain. But if you're being honest about it, or human, or whatever the thing is you're supposed to be about it, and your eyes venture away from whoever the scantily clad woman is, you're probably going to see a family and little kids. And then party goes, that's unfortunate. That's not what we want in our society, to have these women walking around dressed the way they were at the rodeo and these little kids watching them, because it doesn't end well for society to do that. You encourage kids to behave a certain way that they should not behave at all, if not at a certain age in their lives. And it gets crazy. Honestly, you know what? This is weird. I'll do one last thing about this. We'll take one more break. We'll come back and we'll wrap up for the day. My wife has been telling me about her niece. My wife's niece is a kid. I don't even need to tell you the age of the child. That's not important. She's a child. And my wife has been complaining that TikTok is encouraging her niece to dress provocatively. And I remember the first time my wife told me about this, I'm like, huh? Like, that kid is a child. She's way too young to be thinking about that stuff. But it's something that my wife's sister has been complaining to Betty, my wife's name is Betty, about, and how do they deal with it? And when you ask why, what's causing this, TikTok, social media, all the things where they see a tremendous amount of popular people, popular women that are doing this same kind of thing. And so then a child does it. And you say to yourself, man, you got to take the phone away. You got to restrict social media to an insane degree, because so much social media is built around this thing. And this thing is inappropriate, wildly inappropriate for a whole lot of people. And the same was true of the rodeo. I remember thinking that when they censored the outfits that people were wearing. And so it's just weird when these 20-something people on social media get all high and mighty, that they get, quote, as I said, dress coded somewhere. And I know this is a more serious take on this topic than I intended to have. But I just love the fact that they complain about being dress coded somewhere, because honestly, if you really took a second to think about it, or if you get to the point I was making a little while ago, you actually have kids of your own, at some point you're going to regret this. At some point you're going to look back and be like, man, I wish I didn't behave that way. I wish other people didn't behave this way, because it's influencing my own family in a way I don't want. And that easily seemed to be true. But I just thought that was interesting, that the woman was so proud to be dress coded, of all places, in Las Vegas, because she thought whatever she wore would be totally fine there, that no one would get upset about it. All right, we got to take one more break. After the last break, we will come back. We will do just a little bit more here on the Voice of Texas, KSEV, KGBC. Thrilled to have you with us. Thrilled to be on the air every single day. We'll come back and we'll do a little bit. I think I left off some Dan Bongino audio and a little bit about Tucker Carlson. There is a conversation following around Tucker right now that some in social media have defended Tucker Carlson for, saying it's simply not true. I thought that was really interesting. We'll get to both those things in just a little bit. As I said, KSEV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hare & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hare & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Spring deals are popping up early at Lowe's. Right now, get 4 bags of Stay Green 2 cubic foot mulch for just $10. Plus, save $20 on an Ego 56-volt string trimmer, now just $199. Spring starts better when you save early. Don't miss out. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 3/18. Mulch offer excludes Hawaii. Selection varies by location. While supplies last.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date. Your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected. Your floor mats are cleaned and delivered. And your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com. Oh, I'm ready! And get ready for the workday.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Only about 5 minutes left. Only a couple things left that I can even cover. I do want to talk about Tucker Carlson, though. So if you don't know, there is a viral video that says something above it. It's a quote that doesn't actually exist in the audio. So it's like a 5-minute clip. And I assume most people, the assumption for anyone that's making a claim that Tucker Carlson said a thing he didn't say is guessing you're not actually going to watch the entire clip. And so some of us actually did the thing that they assumed we weren't going to do. And so if you've seen it, the quote says, it's in quotations, Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. That is literally something that people are claiming is within a 5-minute and 9-second video of Tucker Carlson doing an interview on a show and having a conversation. Here's the problem. He doesn't say that. It doesn't occur. He is absolutely trashing Western society, our society, and saying that we're not as developed as we should be. He's absolutely saying and doing things that I think people might think are controversial or extreme or whatever you might want to call them. But he does not throw his support behind Sharia law. And so anyone that's claiming that right now is doing it to discredit Tucker Carlson. And I just thought, like, why? There's so much going on right now. There's so much, they call it the MAGA Civil War, and I've talked about it a lot on the show. Why do you want to take another shot, a disingenuous, a fake shot? Why do you want to lie about someone that might be losing their credibility with people on their side of the aisle anyway? And I don't know, maybe the people listening to the show right now are big fans of Tucker. Maybe not. I can't tell. You can tell me via social media if you want, or call into the show, whatever you want to do. The reason why is the left doesn't want him to be influential at all. They're grasping at anything they can for anyone that has a dip in the popularity, a moment of weakness, to remove these people as far as thought leaders in our society. Because there's still a lot of things. I feel like this is the argument that you'll hear Chris X and Chris Salcedo talk about when it comes to John Cornyn, which is kind of funny to me, because Cornyn is absolutely, to a lot of people, more of a rhino than not, even though he votes with Republicans, I think 70% of the time, whatever his claim is there. I wonder if the same could be true with some of these media people. Like, do you agree with Tucker Carlson 90% of the time? With Megyn Kelly 85% of the time? Because when I watch them make up the stuff about these people, when I watch the claim that's not true, part of me thinks they're trying to remove them entirely from the debate. And that's bad. No matter how much I might disagree with certain things some of these people say, certain things some of these people believe, and there's better and worse examples for sure right now of people saying crazy stuff. I don't want them forcibly removed from our movement based on any one thing. And to be honest, this is the last thing I'll say about this as we're running out of time. It feels very reminiscent of a problem that we have in a lot of media places too, and I'm not blaming you for this, the listener, but it absolutely is true, that if you say just one thing people don't agree with, sometimes you might lose part of your audience. So you got to contemplate that all the time. And I think then some of us, especially in talk radio, just say, screw it. I can't fake it. And this is why I love radio so much. This is the last thing I'll say as we're running out of time on the show. You're left so alone in the sense that there's no video, there's no other version of a conversation between you and me. It's just my voice, my thoughts, if you listen to basic radio. So you can't fake it. For an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, you'll get caught. So you just have to be honest. And that's why I think that this is the most authentic platform out there, and probably a reason that it still deserves to be in your news cycle. But all right, that's it. That's the whole show. I'll talk to you later. Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KJBC, the voice of Texas.
You're listening to the voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
He's committed to protecting all Americans.
I don't care what color your state is. I don't care if you're red or you're blue. At the end of the day, my job is to be Secretary of Homeland and to protect everybody the same, and we will do that.
He replaces the fired Kristi Noem. Meanwhile, travel disruptions happened as senators are racing to salvage a proposal to end the Homeland Security shutdown. Democrats have refused to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless it made